2023. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. All right, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Supervisor Schneiderman,
Here.
Councilwoman McNamara,
Present.
Councilman Martell,
Present.
Councilman Bouvier,
He has an excused absence.
Councilman Scavone,
Present.
All right. We'll do a formal moment of silence at the next meeting, for everybody. I'm sure is aware that Brian Williams passed away from our CPF department, but also very active in the fire department, fire chief, and active countywide, and
Fire Chiefs Council.
Fire Chiefs Council. Did so much for this community, particularly the Flanders community, a very beloved individual. But we'll save that for a Tuesday's meeting. All right, so we have a number of things, including reviewing a pretty thick agenda. I see our superintendent of highways is here. Is there something you wanted to approach us about?
No.
No?
No.
Mark, nothing?
Nothing?
Okay. Then we'll start with, there's no particular item on the agenda you're here for?
So Charlie, do you want to clarify the increase in fees? That's
Yeah,
one
I
of
can do that if
Can
you
you do that for us?
You want to say forty?
Would you?
Yeah.
So this is on our draft agenda? On-
It is, because we tabled it from the last meeting.
Right.
That's right, yes.
Resolution 1237,
What page is that?
page 4.
All right.
Hi, Charlie McCardle, Highway Superintendent. We had proposed an increase mostly in the fines for people doing work without getting permits. For a long time, it was just the cost of business for them to pay the $1,000 when they got caught doing something without a permit. So we thought that if we increased it to $3,000, at least it would make a statement that they should come to us first to get the permit. The other increases are slight. They were outdated for, I think, years and years for driveway openings and so on. I wouldn't consider them to be a tax, more of a permit fee that should be in line with today's fees. I think at least the raising the penalty to $3,000 may deter some people from doing work without getting a permit.
So right now, because I have it as 0 work done without a permit going to 3,000, right now it's 1,000?
It's 1,000.
Is that what the courts impose, or?
That would be if they came to us once they got the fine, they would be charged
So
$1,000.
somewhere in the statute it says 1,000?
I'm not sure where that
Or is it
dated back to.
discretionary?
I think we inherited that.
Is it a range or is it a?
No, it's 1,000. But again, a lot of the people doing work today just put it in their
And then you
estimate.
charge them 1,000 plus you charge them the fee that they should have paid initially?
It's included in that.
In 1,000?
Yeah, so I guess it'd be a $750 fee for just doing what you wanted without coming to get a permit.
So if someone has a second curb cut and they're parking a landscape trailer or something like that, that's a curb cut without a permit, if they don't have a permit?
This is geared more towards the utilities and the landscape irrigation, stuff like that. It's not really, the curb cut fee is set. If they do the work in the right of way without a permit, it's mostly vendors, not so much homeowners, that are just taking advantage of the $1,000 to do
So
it
who would
without a
get
permit.
charged? Would it be the vendor or the homeowner? And how would you find the vendor?
The homeowner is responsible to get the permit. But again, the
Okay.
vendors are just doing it without getting a permit, and then it becomes the problem of the homeowner. And the vendors, a lot of times the vendors have to come in to get the permit for the homeowner.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically when they get caught doing it without that, it's only a $1,000 fine, and it's not deterring anybody. So that's why we raised it to 3,000, or we're hoping to raise it to 3,000.
Are they doing it in, when you say that it's not deterring people, did they know that they were supposed to get it and they're just doing it anyway, or they didn't know that they,
I would assume everyone knows that when you're doing work in the town of Southampton, that a permit is required. And again, it's just not, $1,000 fine is not enough to deter anybody from just helping themselves to do what they wanted. And the most we could raise it, we thought, we kind of took a look at other municipalities, and the 3,000 was kind of across the board.
who else charges 3,000?
I believe East Hampton Town does.
How about
Can you check
plantings?
that, Jim?
Yeah, we can check.
Who else do you think charges?
How,
I only referred to, I talked to Steve Lynch, and that's what he told me.
how about plantings? Yard work, nursery,
No,
if people are planting, because that happens too, right? They plant out in the right of way.
yeah, but we
they-
wouldn't give them a permit to do that anyway, so that's
Uh-huh.
just a violation.
So if they do it, would they be subject to this?
No, they'd be subject to Ryan Murphy and the local court.
He's primarily for road opening.
Right, this is to
Actually
do
opening
work in
road.
the right of way without our permission.
And what is, it says, also it says driveway permit processing fee. Right now it's 0. You don't charge anything,
No, they do, I don't know why it says that.
and it's going up to 300,
Yeah, so it was 150, we doubled it.
so from 150 to 300. And then road opening permit, it's 150 for minor projects and 300 for major, is that what it covers?
No, we want to raise it to 300.
It's, right now I have under the preliminary budget, 150 and 300, and you want to make it 600 and 600. So there's two categories. Major project, I'm not really sure what the two things are.
One's for
Gas-
road opening permit, residential, and one's residential and one's
One's
major project.
commercial.
Oh, so you think the first one is the
Residential, and
road
the second
opening
one is,
permit, the 150 goes way up at the top then? Is that what you think?
I'm guessing it's, the way it is, I'm guessing it's residential and major project.
Yeah, so this
Should be commercial and residential.
So you want to go to, from 150 to 600 on a residential road opening permit?
I want to go from 150 to 300 on a residential. I want to go from 300 to 600 on a commercial or bigger.
Is a driveway permit processing fee, that's different than a road opening permit? Or is it the same thing?
It's the same thing.
All right, because it has two different categories on my sheet.
So if you build a new house, you want to put a driveway in, that's a driveway opening. If you're doing something like on Spinney Road and you need the road opening to get from one side of Spinney Road to the other, it's basically the same thing, but it's not permanent.
So you want to make it go from 150 to 300?
Yeah, again, those numbers are, we inherited it, and I would bet Alex Greger inherited those from Bill Masterson, so they're way off.
So if it's a major project, that's what it says, for example, gas, water, electric, cable, test pits, et cetera, it's currently 300,
Yeah,
and you want to make that 600.
mm-hmm,
So you want to double that. And then work done without a permit, you want to go from 1,000 to 3,000
again, just to encourage people to get that.
to legalize it, and then they still would have to then pay the, whatever that fee was.
That's correct.
I think we need a definition of work done.
It's finished.
Well, it's already,
Well,
It's
if they
work you
start
should
this-
have had to had a permit for.
If they start the
but it's-
project without a permit, then the work has been done. Completed is a different word. They started the work without a permit, they get caught, they get,
I understand what you're saying, and I
Okay.
understand the problem as well. But I also know that people do things at the edge of their property that they may not know where the line is, and they put in a hedgerow or a rock or, a row of trees. Is that part of work? And that's my question. not
no,
necess-
that's a totally separate issue.
And is that in the code? I know you're saying it, and I know, like, we
Okay.
seem to agree verbally here.
I just want to be
Is it in the
clear.
code? That's what I'm
Yeah, I
asking.
just want to be clear. Plantings and landscaping, issues like that are not what we're talking about.
That's not work.
No,
Okay.
no. This is about doing, you bring in gas in, you bring in your irrigation all these things that are happening in the
So
town's right of
It
way.
should be utilities or like utility work or like
Right.
mechanics.
There is no
work, something.
permit to put
Okay.
any landscaping in the right of way.
And by the way, I don't think people should be doing that. Don't-
Right, no,
don't
no,
get me
I
wrong.
understand, I just wanna
It
be
just-
clear, this is vendors doing work,
Uh-huh.
utility work, good word, not landscaping. You can't get a permit to put landscaping in the right of way,
Right, and people shouldn't be doing it
no.
anyway, sight lines, safety reasons, a whole, bunch of that.
There's a lot of liability.
Let's go to the next category here, potential for flooding. So this is when you're asked to basically look at a project to see if there might be flooding from the construction.
Right,
Who would be asking you, the homeowner, or,
well, they wouldn't get the CO for the work unless we looked at it,
so you normally routinely do that?
absolutely.
So that's anybody who's building a house, you inspect?
Well, when they ask for the road cut, we would come and make sure that the water from the project is not being brought down into the roadway.
Is that part of like the fee for the driveway permit?
No, that's just to cut just to get into the road, and it's up to us afterwards to make sure the drainage doesn't come down that road. It's
That
just-
way you would tell somebody they need a drain at the bottom of their driveway on their property and so on.
Exactly.
Totally different, yeah.
So what
And
do
the town engineer is involved in that also.
so what's wrong with 250 for that? You want to go to 400? Is
Again,
that-
these fees, this is processing fees in my office that take a lot of time, and time is money. So the fees have been way out of date for years. They've been the same amount, like anything that goes on today. They should be raised.
Yeah, sometimes when we raise fees, we do, we don't do it all in one shot. But, I mean, they should have been caught up over time. But, so you're saying the 250's been in place for a long time?
That's correct.
Do you know how long?
No.
All right, and then street reports, fees paid to Highway Department for verification of town private roads. Just, that's something if somebody's not sure if it's a town road or a private road? What is
We
that?
have to do the research for them. It takes time.
And you're not proposing a change? It's $50.
Well, with
and-
today's technology, it's pretty simple to do. So we're just being fair.
All right, so that one you're leaving at 50.
That usually the town report?
Yeah.
All right, anybody have any questions for the highway
Thank
superintendent?
you, Charlie.
All right, thanks, Charlie.
Well, just the one question about work done, it sounds like your intent is to have it more specified to mechanics or utilities.
Right.
Right.
If you want to amend it, I would amend it, but it's just so, clearly we want to be clear. It's
Right.
utility work, not so much landscaping. Again, you wouldn't get a permit for that.
Big difference between a mailbox and a water main
Yeah.
that goes across.
Okay. All right, so. And Julie, you're here for later, right? All right. All right, so let's go through the agenda then for the November 14th. It'll be 1 o'clock here at Town Hall. And you have a number of public hearings. Looks like 7 of them. First one is on the preliminary budget for '24. Second one is consider increases proposed in the maximum amount to be expended annually in the town of Southampton Special District. Third one is for fire protection contracts for '24. Fourth one is as it relates to improvements to the North Sea Beach Colony Beach Erosion Control District pursuant to Town Law 202B. Fifth is to consider a local law enacting Chapter 255 of the Town Code, entitled Prohibition of Peddling or Solicitation Within Roadways. Six is a public hearing to amend Town Code Chapter 31219, parking prohibited in designated locations in order to add regulations on a portion of Lake Avenue and Wildwood Trail in Northampton. 7 is a public hearing to enact Town Code Chapter 31249.4, no stopping on portions of CR 63 Lake Avenue, Northampton, from CR 51 Mauritius Riverhead Road to Lakeview Drive. Okay, any questions on public hearings? All right, so, The first resolution is the one we were talking about, 1237 of 2023, amending the preliminary budget for Highway Department fee schedule. You guys want to talk about this at all? I had circulated some, like, I'm uncomfortable going from 1,000 to 3,000, that's a giant jump. I think I'd like to have some conversation about the potential for flooding too. Maybe not quite as big of a jump there, it's almost doubling by 250 to 400.
Do you know that the proposed fees for the building department, every single thing on the building department fee is being doubled next year?
It's doubled. Are they, and what's the numerical increase?
Everything is doubled across the board.
What's the biggest jump in dollars?
I don't know, but I know every single thing is doubled.
Yeah.
Small projects, big projects, stuff that homeowners
Yeah,
have to
well,
deal
we
with.
should- We should discuss that too, so see if that makes sense, but that's a
Honestly,
separate bill.
The work done bothers me a little bit, because everybody wants their driveway where they want it. It may not be right for a stop sign on the road, or drainage, or other things, and then they come back and apologize for $1,000. I mean, there has to be some kind of penalty for this, because I see it done all the time. We're the land of apologize later, so we really need that.
I mean, 3,000 is pretty high.
Well,
Jim, you're
then-
gonna check with East Hampton.
Yeah. we'll
As
see.
long as
I mean,
it's in line with what
most
other municipalities are
do have
charging.
some, they do have penalties for opening up roads or opening up, doing the driveway work within the right of way. So, I would check and see what the other comparable
Yeah,
numbers are.
let's get some input there. I mean, I'm not opposed to increasing, but tripling a fee is a big jump.
It's a fine, not a fee.
A fine, tripling a fine, whatever.
And like I said a moment ago, the term work done is a pretty broad term, and I think, some added, information with that is necessary.
So, we'll continue to discuss this. It's tabled. So,
Town Board Resolution 44637, authorized purchase of the Vermeer stump cutter from Vermeer North Atlantic Sales and Service.
44677, authorized purchases of brakes and related components, parts, and labor to repair from Suffolk County Brake Service, Inc., using Brookhaven Town contract.
44698, authorized purchases of groundskeeping repair parts, service, and accessories from Malvisi using Suffolk County contract.
I'll read
read
John's.
John.
I don't get many anyhow. Town Board Resolution 44622, authorize supervisor to sign a contract extension for portable toilet rentals with Call Ahead, and that's Councilman Bouvier.
44624, authorized supervisor to sign a contract extension for printing of tickets, pads, and envelopes with Concept Print. 44588, authorized supervisor to sign a contract extension for property cleanup to bring properties back into compliance with Rockmore Contracting Corporation. 44623, authorized supervisor to sign a contract extension for dry cleaning and laundry services to Hampton Bays.
44802, authorize the supervisor to execute a renewal agreement with Nearmap US Incorporated.
44692, authorized supervisor to execute a 2023 contract with Mayday Communications, Inc., for the digital voice recording system utilized in the 911 dispatch center of the police department.
44627, sponsored by Councilman Bouvier and Councilwoman McNamara, authorize the supervisor to sign a contract extension for acceptance of Town of Southampton North Sea landfill leachate wastewater with Clearflow Technologies Incorporated.
Resolution 44721, authorized supervisor to sign a contract extension for gold patch pavement repair materials with Black Gold Industries Incorporated. Resolution ID 44630, authorized supervisor to sign a contract extension for maintenance, installation, repair of water mains with Roadwork Construction Corp. Resolution ID 44681, authorized supervisor to sign a contract extension for pavement repair with Rosemark Contracting Incorporated. ID 44629, authorized supervisor to sign a contract extension for traffic line striping and traffic markings with Seneca Pavement. ID 44805, authorize supervisor to sign a contract with Pavement Services Incorporated for engineering service to be provided to the Highway Department. ID number 44660, authorize supervisor to sign a contract extension for full depth reclamation with Rosemar Contracting Incorporated. ID number 44620, authorize supervisor to sign a contract extension for repair and install sidewalks with Long Island Mason and Concrete.
ID number 44710, authorize the supervisor to sign contract extension with Coastal Commercial Property Management Incorporated for landscaping services, and that's Councilman Bouvier.
ID number 44621, authorize supervisor to sign contract extension for street sweeper parts and gutter and rear brooms with Malvisi Equipment Company and Trias Incorporated.
44744, sponsored by Councilman Bouvier and me. Authorize the supervisor to sign a 2024 Community Development Block Grant Project Description form. ID number 44682, authorize a 2024 renewal of ESRI Incorporated for software licensing utilized in the GIS division.
44791, authorize supervisor to sign 2024 village agreement with Village of Quogue for home improvement inspection services. 44784, authorize the supervisor to execute 2024 cooperative agreements with neighboring villages for the town to provide fire inspection services. 44714, authorize the supervisor to execute a 2024 contract extension with Naraki Smith LLP for the preparation of an annual financial audit for year ending December 31st, 2023. 44590, authorize the supervisor to execute a contract extension with Clark Sinclair for supply number 2 fuel oil service and repair.
ID number 44691, authorize the supervisor to execute a memorandum of agreement with the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation and the Hampton Bays Water District.
44798, authorize the supervisor to execute a retainer agreement with Peter D. Johnson Esquire to provide tax certiorari legal proceedings for and on behalf of the tax assessor's office.
ID number 44666, authorize the supervisor to sign a contract extension for liquid caustic soda with Univar USA Incorporated.
Town Board Resolution ID 44635, authorize the supervisor to sign a contract extension for printing and mailing of Hampton Bays Water District bills with Questmark Information Management, Inc.
44674, authorize supervisor to sign a contract extension for replacement parts for Chevrolet General Motors with Eagle Chevrolet. 44757, authorize supervisor to sign a lease agreement for 38 Little Plains Road, parking lot and garage bays.
44743, authorize supervisor to sign a master services agreement with Forerunner Technologies.
44736, authorize supervisor to sign an amended emergency services ESU agreement for the public department to include the Village of Southampton.
ID number 44648, authorize the supervisor to sign an extended contract for Alewife Creek Habitat Enhancement Project with Terry Contracting and Materials Incorporated.
Could I be added as a co-sponsor to that, Cindy?
Certainly.
ID number 44806, authorize the supervisor, co-sponsor with Supervisor Schneiderman, me, the whole board. Okay, authorize the supervisor to sign extended agreement for awards of Community Preservation Fund, CPF, 20% Water Quality Improvement Project funds for the Village of Sag Harbor. 44724, Councilman Bouvier, authorize the supervisor to sign contract extension for public bathroom cleaning with Winston George DBA Winston Cleaning.
44788, authorize the town controller to purchase the necessary workers' comp insurance from New York State Municipal Workers' Compensation Alliance.
ID number 44734, award and authorize the supervisor to sign a contract for V-Box Sand and Salt Spreader with Suffolk County Brake Service Incorporated.
44700, award and authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with Otis Ford for Ford Police Interceptor Utility.
44634, declare item surplus and authorize disposal of computer equipment. 44603, declare item surplus and authorize disposal of vehicles. 44589, recall and amend resolution 23-, 1024, authorizing the supervisor to execute an agreement with Lexipol for online subscription for law enforcement policy manual online.
44772, recall and amend Resolution 2023-1156, authorize the supervisor to execute an agreement with Long Island Telecommunications and Electronic Services, Inc. for portable radios at the Hampton Bays Water District.
44628, recall and amend resolution number 23-1084, authorizing the supervisor to sign an amended contract with Lewis K. McLean Associates Engineers and Surveyors, PC, for sanitary system removal and replacement design services.
ID number 44717, rescind and recall 2023-597, authorize supervisor to sign a contract extension for maintenance, installation, repair of water mains with Roadwork Construction Corp.
44451, rescind contract with Catalyst Payments LLC, and authorize supervisor to sign a new contract with Catalyst Payments LLC.
ID number 44732 is the 2023 notice to bidders for 30 Club Lane Maintenance Garage. ID number 44731, the 2023 notice to bidders for furnish and deliver assorted oils, lubricants, and grease.
44702, sponsored by Councilman Bouvier, Councilwoman McNamara, 2023 notice to bidders for heavy haul tractor.
Uh, 44632, 23 notice to bidders for Mercury Marine Parts.
ID number 44725, the 2023 notice to bidders for tilting roller trailer.
44729, sponsored by Councilman Bouvier, accept donation from the Shinnecock Canal Maritime Heritage Center Incorporated for the Southampton Town Historic Burial Ground Committee.
44790, accepts reimbursement for insurance recoveries and amends 2023 adopted budget for the Hampton Bays Water District. 44765, amends the 23 adopted budget for CPF Capital Project Dick's Windmill Restoration and CPF Stewardship Program. 44768, amends 23 adopted budget for CPF Capital Program Ellis Squires House Restoration and CPF Stewardship Program.
Can I be added to that one, please?
Yes.
44771, amends the 23 adopted budget for CPF Capital Project Mulva Hill House and CPF Stewardship Program. 44774, amends 23 adopted budget for CPF Capital Project Nathaniel Rogers House Restoration and CPF Stewardship Program. 44776, amends the 23 adopted budget for CPF Capital Project Squiretown Park Dining Hall and CPF Stewardship Program.
If I could be added to that one also.
It's a great project.
Yes.
So happy that's happening. 44760, amends the 23 adopted budget for CPF Capital Project Tupper Boathouse and CPF Stewardship Plan. A lot of historic buildings getting put back together. 44783, amends the 2023 adopted budget for special events. 44793, amends the 23 adopted budget for town engineer. 44740, amends 23 budget for various departments.
44550, sponsored by Councilman Bouvier, amend the 2023 to 2027 capital budget and add capital project Riverside Bus Shelter. I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor to that.
Yeah, I would also, please.
Town Board Resolution 44807, appoint election coordinators, inspectors for the ambulance LoSAP special town election and authorize payment for services.
I just want to make sense, Cindy, you got that on 44550, we're adding Rick and Tommy John as, right?
Yes, I
Okay,
did.
okay. Just double check. All right, then 44688, recall and amend Town Board Resolution number 2023-1171, authorizing additional funds for process services from One World Judicial Services.
ID number 44542, resolution of adoption enacting chapter 255 of the Code of the Town of Southampton entitled Prohibition on Peddling or Solicitation Within Roadways. We'll have a public hearing, same day. Town Board Resolution ID 44538, resolution of adoption amending Chapter 312-19, parking prohibited in designated locations in order to add regulations on a portion of Lake Avenue and Wildwood Trail, Northampton. ID number 44520, resolution of adoption amending Chapter 312-49.4, no stopping on portion of County Road 63, Lake Avenue, Northampton, from County Road 51, Mauritius Riverhead Road to Lakeview Drive.
44726, resolution to adopt negative declaration, determination of non-significance with respect to proposed amendments to Chapter 169 flood damage prevention. 44778, resolution to adopt amendments to Town Code Chapter 169 flood damage prevention to be consistent with state program changes.
Town Board Resolution ID 44794, authorized waiver of Parks and Recreation Facilities use fee for the 2023 Our Lady of Guadalupe Run. 44727, authorized waiver of Parks and Recreation Facilities use fee, the 2023 Run with the Torch in honor of Our Lady of Guadalupe.
44701, sponsored by Councilman Bouvier and me. Cost reimbursement waiver for St. Rosalie's Church for Our Lady of Guadalupe Run on December 2nd, 2023, 1:30 to 3:30 p.m.
Is it pronounced Guadalupe or Guadalupe? Does anybody know?
Guadalupe.
Guadalupe?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
I think
I'm
you're
sorry,
right.
I'm reading Guadalupe. Town Board Resolution 44683, cost reimbursement waiver for a Hispanic apostolate for Our Lady of Guadalupe Run on December 12th, 2023, 2 to 4 p.m.
44355, 2023 part-time salaries, 44735, 20223 standard workday and reporting resolutions for elected and appointed officials. 44711, accepts resignation of Samuel Utz, sanitation helper and waste management. 44775, accepts resignation of Shamika Cobb, senior police operations aide, town police civilian. 44633, accepts retirement of Charles Reneri Certain, audio-visual production specialist in education and government cable. All right, hold on. You retiring, Charles?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You're gonna hang around though, right? We're gonna bring you back part-time, I hope?
We'll be here.
All right, good. You're doing a good job back there. All right, 44785, accepts retirement of James Trent Jr., automotive equipment operator and highway. 44738, appoints Juliana Quant to senior environmental analyst position in community preservation. 44777, appoints police officer Spanish speaking to the academy. 43516, appoints police officer Blake Gifford to start. 43884, appoints Susan Sforza to public safety dispatcher 2 position in the police department. 43641, appoints Valerie French to budget technician position in finance. 44699, terminate employee in municipal works.
44742, a notice of public hearing to consider amending tax code chapter 298 taxation to amend article 11 partial exemption for disabled persons with limited income to add a definition for income purposes exemptions. 44741, a notice of public hearing to consider amending town code chapter 298 taxation to amend article 5 exemption for senior citizens to add a definition for income for purposes of tax exemption.
44804, deem supplemental draft generic environmental impact statement adequate for public review for the purposes of SECRA and schedule a public hearing for the siting and construction of a community sewer treatment plant and associated collection and conveyance system in the hamlet of Riverside. Go ahead, Tom John.
44716, sponsored by Councilman Bouvier, notice of public hearing to adopt a climate action plan as an element to the town comprehensive plan.
So, no, has anybody seen this?
We should probably have have a work session.
Yeah.
Well, it was just to schedule it out, the public hearing for a month.
I'd like to,
And I can have,
but I'd rather have the work session before we send this to Suffolk County and the planning board in case there's anything we want to amend or change.
We can do that. The public hearing is going to be held on December 12th.
I don't want to schedule a public hearing and send a plan to the county unless we've reviewed it.
Well, this, we're just reviewing this, so right now it would be,
Haven't even seen it.
right, so this would be for
we
the
plan to
fourth.
have a work session also in December, just so you know, with the consultant to you. So you can schedule for the second meeting in December if you want, or another meeting, or.
I just-
I don't know, Councilman?
What day,
I mean, really, John put it forward.
I mean, I normally allow the public hearings, and then if we feel like it's premature, we can.
But we're
can
sending it
chart
to,
it,
we
we're
can
also
change it.
authorizing to send it to the planning commission and the planning board, and we haven't even seen the document yet that we're sending them.
Did you want to say anything about it, Janice, so that the board's more familiar with it? What's in the climate action plan? Now, you've been working on it, right?
Good morning. Yes, so my office was working on it, Mike specifically, with the Ramble, who's our consultant. They worked with the Sustainability Committee. We had some public surveys that we put into, and it's just goals and objectives for achieving climate neutrality by 2040. So we go over that more specifically, whatever the pleasure of the board is in terms of timing.
Community input, right? There was,
Yeah, there was a
meetings.
survey, we had community input, we had surveys, sure. And then we would have public hearings, of course. That would be where all the other comments would come from. So people don't want to comment if they don't see a plan, so we, develop this plan, and then the community will have the
so
opportunity.
you feel like the plan is ready for public review?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And so we would like to come to a work session prior to the public hearing. I don't know if there's going to be a second public hearing in December. We can
Mhm.
change the date, so that way you have a lot of
So right now,
time.
it's set for
The first one.
Tuesday, December 12th.
What's the second meeting in December?
It's Christmas.
Yeah, honestly, Janice, I'm liaison to sustainability. I haven't seen it since well before Michelangelo
I
left.
think it's the 21st.
So
21st, 1 PM.
there hasn't been much in the way of back and forth since then.
We did send it to the whole sustainability committee. They looked at it too.
But the board hasn't seen it.
No, right. So we have a document now to show you.
We could change it to December, what is it, 21st?
21st at 1 PM.
For the hearing rather than December 12th?
That's great. And then I can do a work session with you, and we can present it to the
Well,
planning
this hearing
board.
would be held, there's gonna be several work sessions anyway before December 12th.
Yeah, we can do it the 21st if that's better, and then
So
you'll
we
see
have-
it. You'll have time to review it. We're not saying this is, no, you can't make any changes to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting very close to the point where I'll be leaving, so we could adopt it that night, I guess, but.
You wouldn't adopt it probably till after this administration, which was why we hoped to put it on for the 12th, so you'd have
Mhm.
Yeah, but
then
you'll
the
have-
next one,
if
the
you-
21st, to potentially adopt it if you wanted to.
Yeah, otherwise you're basically holding a hearing, if we're not gonna be able to do it by the end of the year, you're gonna have to have like a new hearing, there's several new people on the board. So, I would say keep it at the 12th, and we can always adjourn it to the 21st if we need to, but that seems to give you plenty of time to hold a work session.
So I
With the board.
thought next week's work session was actually a meeting for the budget.
It is, yeah, well,
No, next week's work session is the normal one on well, we can have a work session on the 16th. Adopting the budget is at 2:00 next Thursday afternoon.
And a week after that, it's
but
next
I'm
week.
not gonna be here for that work session, so unless we do it after that special meeting, but I'm not available in the morning on the 16th.
I had asked the consultants to come to the work session. Oh, I could change it, whatever you want, whatever you think.
What about the following week? We're getting into Thanksgiving, right?
The following Thursday is Thanksgiving.
It was the 7th, I think, was the next one.
I don't have a calendar. What's the work session after Thanksgiving?
don't have it marked down, it would be the 30th of November, I'm imagining if you, because we have off on the 23rd, which is the Thursday, for Thanksgiving, then the following one would be the
There's
30th.
also a work session first week of December, right?
Oh, there's a work session November 30th,
That would be better.
and then there'll
if
be a
that
work
works for you.
session December
7.
7th.
7.
We're not voting today, I think
I
we
mean,
should
it seems-
keep it in the agenda.
Yeah, I mean, it seems
mean,
like having the hearing on December 12th, you know, assuming we've had a work session preceding it, and we have the full hearing, and if we need to hold it over, that gives us the 21st as a possible date, and with the possibility of adopting it on the 21st. Because is that the last town board meeting of the year? And my last town board meeting. Okay, so, I would say, let's leave it as the 12th for now.
I'll arrange to schedule the work session as soon as possible for the hearing.
All right, so let's
Thank
keep reading. How many
Okay.
down do you have the next one?
44792, sponsored by the entire board, notice of public hearing to consider amending Article 28, Landmarks and Historic District and Heritage Resource Areas of the Town Code, Chapter 330, zoning, to establish the Bridgehampton, Bull's Head, Main Street Historic Overlay District.
So that was adjourned, right?
Mm.
No, didn't we already,
I thought it was,
where were we? Didn't we have a public hearing?
we did,
We had a public hearing.
And,
and now
You were removing places,
we were,
but I don't think we
So
had
we're gonna have another
for
public
we'll
that.
have to
hearing.
have another public, but didn't we adjourn the public hearing? Because we wanted to have a second one? Or did we close it?
All right, so what we did here.
right, this is setting a new public hearing. We are reaching out to property owners of the R20
Yeah, I thought
districts.
we were gonna amend it,
Mm-hmm.
but we didn't have to renotice it to eliminate properties. You'd only have to renotice it to add properties.
Is Kelly in here? Okay.
No, this is not.
Well, why don't we continue on? We'll sort this one out.
Yeah.
44752. So I need to make a change to what's written in front of you on 44752, right? I mean, the resolution is adopting negative declaration for purposes of secret in connection with the Bridgehampton Beach Erosion Control District. But, Cindy, do you have the second to last resolve?
Yes, I do.
There's some changes, so it says, and forward the same to, it should say the listed involved agencies. Right now, it says something like all involved agencies. It says same to the listed involved agencies, and then there's a list of involved agencies that's gonna get added. Then the next one, 44796, public interest order in the matter of the increase and improvement of the Bridgehampton Beach Erosion Control District pursuant to Town Law 202B. And 44754, resolution adopting negative declaration for purposes of secret in connection with the Sagaponic Beach Erosion Control District. And there's some changes to this one too. Sunday, you have it, right?
I
It's
do.
the same thing. It's
Yes.
the listed involved agencies, and then the list gets added. 44797, public interest order in the matter of increases and improvement of the Sagaponic Beach Erosion Control District pursuant to Town Law 202B. No changes to that one. A couple others. Add additions, they're all sponsored by me. 44803, authorize the preparation of a map plan and report attendant to the establishment of a sewer district in the hamlet of Riverside pursuant to New York State Town Law, Article 12A.
Can I be added as a co-sponsor, please?
Is that what you got there?
I do.
All right, 44808 appoints Adam Grossman to the vacant seat in the Justice Court, Southampton Town Justice. And then 44809 is a notice of public hearing to consider amending Town Code Chapter 64, term limits to establish total eligible term for the supervisor and town council members of 12 years. So we'll be like all the other towns that have
Everybody that's
terms.
been termed out can come back.
Yeah, so Chris Nuzzi, Christine Scalera, yeah, there's lots of them out
And we're
there.
also adding, we're appointing a judge that's
Skip Heaney.
twice rejected by the voters without interviewing anybody else. It's great.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, I think it's up to the board, but if there's an empty seat, the board appoints a judge until the next election, I believe. I'm actually getting some clarification as to whether it's a full term or just to the next election.
It'd be
So
nice if we interviewed
Yeah.
people and tried to
Adam
find the
Grossman will
least.
make a terrific judge. But it's, not gonna leave them with 3 judges. So, it's, well, the board can debate it. All right, so that's it for the agenda, and, any other questions? All right, so, Sunday, you're good with whatever changes we made, and we'll move on. We're running a little bit behind schedule, so TAP grant for Noyak Road, is the next item. Is Nick here?
He
Oh,
is.
there's Nick, okay, so, Nick Jimenez, Public Works Capital Projects Manager, and, Dorothy Godlewski, our Town Controller. So, first of all, the TAP AP grant, Transportation Assistance Program, is that what that stands for?
Transportation Alternatives Program.
Transportation Alternative Program. All right, so this is a state grant?
So this is federal funding administered through the State Department of Transportation. Councilman Bouvier brought it to my attention, and it offers up to $5 million in federal funds for an alternative transportation improvement. Sidewalks qualify, as well as various pedestrian safety improvements. So Municipal Works has been working with our consultant GPI to investigate how best to create a walkable, bikeable link between Trout Pond Park and Sag Harbor Village. Currently, I'm sure everybody's familiar with Noyak Road, there's no pedestrian accommodations whatsoever. So GPI has investigated both shared use paths and sidewalks. There's benefits and negatives to both. But in addition to sidewalks, they're also investigating safety improvements to Noyak at Long Beach and Noyak at Stony Hill, reconfiguring the intersections around a little bit to make it safer for both pedestrians and vehicular motorists. In addition
Including a
to,
roundabout over there, is that what they're looking
that's
at?
one consideration. Yeah, everybody looks at that and says, hey, let's do a roundabout.
A real one.
A real one. We're also investigating pedestrian improvements at Capoletti's Restaurant, Jimmy's Deli, and more at Cromer's Market.
So we got a grant, or is it grant request?
So this is, I'm coming to you.
Nick, can I just
Sure, of
make
course.
one addition to this, and good overview? As far as pedestrian amenities over there, there are actually 6 disjointed sidewalk sections along that, when the planning board had different places being built, they required a sidewalk in front of their establishment. So it's kind of, they really don't go anywhere, but they're in front of different places. So,
Tommy John, didn't?
yeah, this is,
We put money in for
we did.
sidewalks.
There is
We
a
did.
established
And
capital
Like
fund.
a $500,000, I mean, 250 us and 250 Fred?
that's right.
Actually, we have $1 million.
You have $1 million now, because we did it 2 years in a row or something?
Correct.
So there's $1 million available for sidewalks.
So right now, our available construction budget after paying the consultant is $570,000, because we don't have the full $1 million yet. There's a SAM grant in there too, but, for $250.
And that's
But
from the state.
that's from the state as well.
Mhm.
That's state money, not federal money. So we were always bonding over multiple, or proposing to bond for this capital improvement over multiple years until we had the required funding in place.
Didn't we use some ARPA money for this? I thought we
Yes.
did.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
So
what,
we're
Correct.
not-
that's where
we're not
our
No.
money came from.
Right now, whatever
That
was
was
funded, it wasn't any kind of bonded money. The only bonded money is gonna be, we put $250 in 2024 budget.
Right, so yeah, I just
That
wanted to
would
correct
be
that. 'cause
possible,
It wasn't
correct.
bonded,
Oh,
it was
excuse me,
ARPA.
yes. Well.
That's what we
for
were looking to do to
2024
finish it.
Oh, that's not bonded.
Not yet.
Okay.
That's proposed. Until the
Proposed.
budget is adopted, capital
Gotcha.
budget, there's gonna be
So
$250
there's
in the
some
next capital.
bonded money.
Possibly, but remember, we do have that debt reduction policy, that depending on how we finish in fund balances, my projections versus actual, then we'll be able to determine if some
So you might not
of
have to
them
bond for it at all.
Exactly.
Correct, well, it all depends.
There's a 20% match. That's why I'm coming to you guys first, because we will be the town will be required to bond for the total improvement and then receive reimbursement from the state. The current estimate,
Not necessarily bond. We
not
have to
necessarily
pay.
bond,
We
but
will
the,
have
To
to
pay
have a.
for
Right.
it. We have to
will
lay
have
out
to-
the money and then
Right.
get reimbursed.
Well, we'll need a bond resolution, because the grant is up to $5 million.
and the total estimate now is between 4.2 and 4.3.
So why would we bond? Why
We would have to, we will need a bond resolution only
For
because
$4
in
million.
order to get the grant awarded, they really wanted us to see that we have the money. So we probably would have to do a short-term borrowing.
Is it 80% grant?
Yes.
Yes,
So it's possible that all this money that we've already put aside, we won't have to spend on, right?
It's
That-
possible
That'll
that the.
free up that money if we get this grant, so we'll spend it, but we may get it back.
well, we only have available right now 500,000. Because the
Correct.
250, it's already a match to the state grant,
Mhm.
so
Right.
you can't use that. So it's really only
Okay.
500,000 that would be there available.
So we have to show in our capital program and with the bond resolution that we're willing to spend the money,
So-
just so we can qualify to get the money.
Correct.
Theoretically,
So right now, I think Nick is trying to, we would have to do our town board resolution, just submitting for the grant,
correct.
because we don't even know what the award's gonna be.
If and when we are selected to receive the grant, that's when at that time, we would have to decide whether or not we wanted to accept it.
Correct.
And of course, make whatever financial
Well, that-
accommodations were
right.
necessary.
That would be in 2024, because you're
That would
saying
be
in the
in
fall they want it.
2024. So their proposed, they being the state's proposed schedule, grant applications are due on January 9th, and they anticipate naming the award recipients in the spring. So we have 6 months from when theoretically we're awarded the grant to execute the grant. And it would align nicely with our actual fiscal year and when we do.
Well, we would have
Put out
to,
bond
right, we
resolutions.
would have to, if we wanted to accept, let's just say if it's $5 million,
Mhm.
we will have to, in 2024, amend the capital budget for that project, actually do a bond resolution, and then figure out what the 20% match, local match will be coming from. Is it gonna be a long-term borrowing? Are we gonna appropriate fund balance? I mean, that's really to decide in 2024.
This takes a project that we were anticipating and again, assuming that everything we're looking at moves forward, as we're hoping, we were looking at having the funds available in 2027 to start construction. This moves it up to 2025, and is of course not the town's indebtedness, it's coming from the federal government.
Now, part of the engineering on this, we mentioned a circle at Long Beach,
Mhm.
which really is an engineered intersection. It's not a
Correct.
traffic circle.
It looks like a circle, but
And
it's not.
so in order for pedestrians to cross in that area, there was significant amount of changes to that traffic flow and circle. And also, another area was on the corner of Stony Hill
Stony
Road
Hill.
and Noyak Road by a farm stand there. There's a triangle that was a historic triangle, was fields around. Well, now it's not fields, and it's a dangerous intersection, so the monies are inclusive of those intersections.
Correct.
So it's not just a sidewalk that costs a
Right, so-
massive amount of money.
So you're
It's a
asking,
massive amount of
is
money.
there a resolution to,
Not on this, so before I put a resolution in front of you guys, what is this? I figured we would come to today.
explain it to us?
Explain it to you,
Because it can
and,
cost us, yes.
exactly, because it can cost us a considerable amount in the short term, until we get those grant funds reimbursed.
Right. Yeah, we've done this before.
So, yeah, I'm asking for your support to pursue the grant, and then, should we be offered the grant, I'll ask for your support to accept the grant, or the next boards.
That would that change our capital?
That would
program?
have to, in 2024, we would have to amend the capital budget and increase funding, because like I said, we would need to adapt and do a bond resolution, because he won't be able to, they won't award us the grant until they see a full funding for this project.
It will depend when the state actually puts out the awards. They're planning on the spring, that could easily fall into summer or the fall.
Right.
If it falls into the fall, that's better for our schedule, we could put it on the 2025 capital program as opposed to amending 24, but it hinges on when we may or may not be offered the actual grant.
Okay, but you can make the application first.
Yes.
All right,
We just wanted to make you aware that it can be
so
additional.
there's gonna be a resolution
This is
coming
refundable.
Yeah,
to authorize
The money's,
the
you
grant.
say the
Second
change
meeting
in the
this month.
capital and the money
That's right.
spent is refundable.
Well,
up to
the 80%,
Right.
correct. But if it's 5 million, then the town's match is 1 million.
Mhm.
All right.
I mean, I don't know. how
Which
much-
is what we
Any
have
other questions?
now.
Just one
Dedicated
comment, so
to
we've
this.
been looking for some traffic
Yeah.
improvements in Hampton Bays. We're looking to do sidewalks from the end of Ponquag Avenue to the Ponquag Bridge, which is becoming very dangerous, especially now that bikes have increased and baby carriages and everything else. So is there something you can find for that in the near future?
Sure, we could definitely put that as either a 25 request, speak to Highway, see if Highway has any
Yeah, that's
available
really
sidewalk
needed. There's
funding.
so many people who walk in that section.
That is also a county road, I believe, in that section now, correct?
Ponquag
Right,
may
they're
be,
looking to
yeah.
give it over to us.
They want to give it to us, yeah, that came like
Yeah.
Tuesday, right?
But,
Right.
Shinnecock is not,
We'll take it.
is town.
And
So
Foster
you're
Avenue.
talking about the sidewalks on Shinnecock
Yes,
and
Shinnecock.
Road, and then it's down.
Did you- I'm sorry, you
Foster.
said
So
on
when you
Ponquag,
get to
or-
the end of Ponquag, that's county, but then it's
Oh,
town.
so you're asking
as
for
you make a
sidewalks
left.
on Shinnecock?
Yep,
Oh, I'm
Shinnecock through the
sorry. I
bridge.
heard you.
Shinnecock and Foster, all the way to the bridge.
Shinnecock and Foster to Bridge.
And I agree, that's a place that really needs sidewalks.
100%.
Okay.
Now that's flat, nice.
Yeah, it should be
Right
relatively
away.
simple.
Yeah.
You know, it's,
Comparatively
East
speaking.
Hampton, they have their own sidewalk crew, it's been very successful. I don't know if it's within, probably within the highway department, but, I think it saved them a lot of money, but they're constantly adding sidewalks, which is really nice, with, in-house.
Okay.
All right, just something to think about for the future.
Thank you.
So, all right, so that's, anything else for Nick?
This is that
Thank you.
project, Nick, that involves possible, minor things.
Possible small, yeah, so there's a couple of radii, if we were to improve the road as currently proposed. What was it, 1/10 of an acre total?
Yeah,
There's
you're saying.
10 little corner triangles that we would have to pursue either easements
Mhm.
or takings, or just redesign the road.
I've given Tom some drawings of conceptual roundabouts in certain locations within town right-of-ways that
Okay.
could, I think, be significant in terms of improving traffic flow, where you'd be eliminating stop signs and keeping the traffic moving, so, yeah, obviously, we're not gonna do it while I'm here, but it's something that maybe can get discussed, or grants could be applied for, to put
Definitely.
those in.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the TAP program was very, how do you say, aggressive prior to COVID, and then it kind of fell off. But if they come back every year, then we should definitely pursue grants every year.
Yeah, but there might
Okay.
be other programs where you can, for the roundabouts.
They used to have local safe streets, and traffic calming was a big one, but I don't think that came back either. That was state
Well, That
money.
would be part of traffic count.
Yep, definitely.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. And Dorota, thank you. I said thanks.
Thank you. All right, we're switching topics, Community Housing Fund Project Plan. We have a number of individuals, including Kara Back, Director of Housing and Community Development. Housing and Community Services? Is that the title, or is it Housing and Community Development?
Kind of been used interchangeably, housing and community services, because it encompasses the youth bureau and senior services, domestic violence. So,
All right, I'll have to work on that. I finally got Town Planning and Development Administrator down after 8 years, so not so bad. Yeah, Shira?
Thank you.
Nails it, yeah.
No, not all the time. It's a mouthful. All right, so take it away, Kara.
okay, so thank you for having us this morning. I'd like to introduce to you the Community Housing Fund Project Plan, which was created as an implementation plan for the funds that we use to develop affordable housing under the Community Housing Fund. The project plan identifies the housing needs in each town hamlet, and it assists the Community Housing Advisory Board in making recommendations for the allocation of funds to eligible housing programs to add projects to the town board. So what I would like to do is take this time to focus primarily on the funding programs that will be provided through the CHF funding. All community housing that is created under the programs must be the primary residence of the eligible individuals and shall remain affordable. So let's take a look at who is eligible to apply for and receive funding. The state CHF law defines an eligible individual as someone who meets the income limit set by Sony May. This is currently $174,000 for a family of up to 2 persons and $203,000 for a family of 3 or more people. A first-time home buyer is somebody who has not owned a home or married to someone who has owned a home before within the last 3 years prior. So what type of housing is eligible to receive funding? The law defines community housing as a primary residence that does not exceed a sales price of $1.2 million. It's a 1 or 2 family house, townhouse, or condo. It does not include a co-op. Each home buyer has different needs. So the Housing Department has created a variety of programs under the new CHF. Most of these programs do not create new density, but rather use existing home stock and make it more affordable. Some of these programs are designed for people who work in the town. Some of these programs are designed for first responders. And some of these programs are designed to keep rent affordable so that people in the town are not house cost burdened. So let's take a look at some of the programs and then we will talk about them individually. There are 4 programs for first-time home buyers. They are the down payment assistance program, a shared equity program, a remodel program, and an employer-assisted down payment
Yeah,
program.
what is that? Employer-assisted down payment?
Yep, that's the 4th one.
Yeah, what is that?
I'm going to talk about them,
Okay.
explain them all individually. There is a program to assist developers who want to build new housing. There are 3 programs to create affordable rentals. That's an accessory apartment program, an adaptive reuse program, and a motel conversion program. There is a program for the town's volunteer essential workers. That's a mortgage assistance program. And there is a program to keep the town's workforce, seniors, and disabled living in the town. That's also an affordable easement program. Okay, so let's take a look first at the programs we've developed for first-time home buyers. The first program we've developed is a down payment assistance program. One of the biggest financial hurdles facing potential home buyers is saving the money needed for a down payment to buy a home. This is particularly difficult in an area where the monthly rents are already high. Typically, first-time home buyers need a minimum of 5% down. Under this program, the CHF will loan a first-time home buyer most of the down payment needed to purchase a home. There are no monthly payments, and the loan is paid at 0% interest when the buyer sells or refinances the home. The second program we've developed for first-time homebuyers is a shared equity program. This program is available to those homebuyers who make within the low-moderate income range, which is up to 80% of the area median income. Just for clarification, this is up to $102,000 for a family of 4 currently. In this program, CHF pays a percentage of the cost of the home and then shares the appreciation of the home's value when it is sold or refinanced. The third program developed for first-time homebuyers is the remodel program. This program loans a first-time homebuyer the money needed to make necessary repairs to an old, dilapidated, or foreclosed property to make the home livable. The program is a win-win for first-time homebuyers and the neighboring property owners. The screen lists some of the repairs and improvements that CHF will lend money for. These include structural improvements, installation of kitchens and bathrooms, elimination of health and safety concerns, plumbing, electrical updates, and roofing. The last program we've developed for first-time home buyers is an employer-assisted down payment program. This program will work with employers who already offer a down payment assistance program to their first-time home buyer employees and can include match programs, interest rate buy-downs, deferred and repayment of loans. Okay. So moving away from the first-time homebuyer programs, we've created a program for developers who want to build new affordable housing. the CHF will purchase an affordable easement from a developer who will restrict the sales price and the buyer's income on the property in order to build new affordable housing. The developer can use the funds to purchase the land or for construction costs. The amount of the grant will be based upon the developer's proposal and the scope and need of each project. The developer will be required to have a strong record of developing single or multifamily housing. The next group of programs I'd like to focus on are the programs that assist in creating affordable rental units. Rental units are often needed for the town's young people who are just starting out, returning from college, and the town's seasonal and year-round workforce. The first affordable rental program we have created is the accessory apartment program. This program will help homeowners who want to create an accessory apartment in their home for extra income, or who want to house a family member who wants to stay within the town. Under this program, the tenant must work at least 30 hours a week in the town, and the tenant must have an income that is at or below $203,000. The property owner must comply with the town's affordable rent guidelines, but will receive a no-interest loan to create the apartment in return. The next affordable rental program is a motel conversion program. This is a low-interest loan to assist in the rehabilitation of old motels so that they can be used for low-moderate housing for the town's seasonal and year-round workforce. And the last affordable rental program is developed to provide housing needed to convert non-residential commercial property into affordable rental housing. A developer can use this low-interest loan for site acquisition and construction costs. Next, we've developed a program to assist the town's low-moderate income volunteer essential workers with mortgage assistance in order to make a home affordable. These are volunteers who are critical to the town's public health and safety. These volunteer workers include healthcare workers, fire and EMS workers who are in good standing. These are individuals who use their time and expertise to support various essential services and the town's critical needs. The program is designed to assist with direct mortgage payments for those volunteers during the time they continue to volunteer. And the final program I'm introducing to you is the Affordable Easement Program for the town's workforce, seniors, and disabled. This program provides a CHF grant in exchange for an occupancy restriction for workforce housing, seniors, or disabled residents. There are two ways this grant can assist in providing affordable housing. A buyer who would like to restrict their current home's occupancy can use the money for a down payment, or an existing property owner can receive an annual cash payment in an amount equal to the difference between the monthly affordable rent and the monthly market rate rent, payable during the period of affordability. Workforce housing requires occupants to work at least 30 hours a week within the town. Senior housing is for occupants 55 and older, and disabled housing is for occupants who have a physical or mental impairment defined under the ADA. So I'm excited to get these programs started in the new year. At this point, the CHF is just starting to see some money coming into the fund. The next step is to have a public hearing to consider the adoption of this plan. Once adopted, my office will have an online application for people who want to apply for any of these programs.
So questions. I have a couple questions about the sort of the free market. So there's really no pathway for anybody to build affordable housing right now, other than, maybe somebody putting in an accessory apartment and coming to you. But, if you have a piece of land and, the zoning allows one house on it, the land is $1 million just for, there's just no way. So instead, that house becomes a 6,000 square foot house with a swimming pool, tennis, whatever it is. And that's a profitable model. There's just no pathway for the private sector to build anything affordable. I know there's one application up in Noyak, I think, Judge Burke's application, where there is some provision of a code that allows multifamily. I'm not sure what provision that's using there.
That's a density incentive, and that property is zoned HO. So it's a
That's it.
different, it's
Okay, that's in a
like a
commercial
commercial
zone.
zone, actually.
Right, and so basically anything that somebody, we have Mr. Epley, Zach Epley's come to us for rezoning. That's a way to do it. We'd have to put like a multifamily zoning category on a property that currently would only have, I think, one home. But it, comes in front of this board, goes in front of the planning commission, but there's no like as of right pathways whatsoever. Even those that might require subsidies. I mean, have you given thought into allowing the private sector to produce affordable housing? Or what might have to happen so that there could be some, market-created, market-driven affordable housing?
So we have, through the CHF, we have the funds that we can assist in the private sector. We can assist in giving them the funds necessary to, to
The
assist.
subsidy.
Yeah, to help them
So the
create the
numbers
affordable
could
housing.
work?
Exactly,
They
right.
still would need the density, though.
They would need the density, and that they would have to go through the zoning code as it currently stands right now. That would be up to the town board if they want to entertain, amending the zoning code to allow for that. But right now, there is no pathway to multifamily housing without going through zoning changes. But what can we do? What we can do is try and give the funding that's needed so that they can then build the affordable housing at an affordable rate and sell it to people at an affordable price.
Because sometimes, and I like the approach we're taking on sort of on an individualized basis. Somebody's trying to buy a house, it's completely priced out of the housing market. There's no chance they can afford a $300,000 home, but the least expensive house is like $800,000. But it's also the optics of us coming in with $500,000 in subsidy to help them buy a house. That's not really fair to, the next guy who's working 3 jobs trying to buy a house, maybe doesn't qualify income-wise.
And most of these are loans, not subsidies.
Correct, right.
Yeah, and that's an important distinction. 'cause,
Yeah, but even a $500,000 loan would be with no interest and not
Is-
payable until you sell the house. It's like, what ought to be?
I agree, but it's not
What's an
a subsidy.
acceptable level of subsidy to create a unit for a family?
Mhm.
And I don't know the answer, maybe that's the committee can look at that, because then we could sort of analyze the bang for the buck. We look at things like the Coast Guard housing, and, trying to figure out how much subsidy on a per unit basis, if the land costs are too high, I think you reach a point where it just, it doesn't make economic sense if you're, like, maybe $100,000 per unit subsidy, or $150,000 on a town basis, maybe county or state, whatever it is, but even though we're gonna have a lot of money in the CHF fund, I still think we have to use it in the most cost-effective way for the public to support these types of programs. And so I think we have to look for those efficiencies and economies of scale. But I just think it's something for the committee to look at and say, okay, when does the subsidy on a per unit basis, when is it too high? When do we say no?
It sounds to me that there's a significant zoning component to what you're saying.
There is.
Which is really, we were the committee was operating within the current zoning code that we have to try to implement programs for housing with what we have.
Correct.
Now, it sounds like, that would be the purview of this board to change zoning for what you briefly described earlier, for getting more homes on residential properties, right?
Right, you have a large
And-
property, rather than one 6,000 square foot house, why couldn't you build the, same size building, even a smaller building, but with 4 apartments? Not clearing any more than you would have, you don't get the tennis court, you don't get the pool, but you do get some essential workers staying in the community.
We could add to this plan, and it sounds like there's already portions of what you presented that would assist in what Jay's describing, if I
Absolutely.
understand it right.
Yeah,
Right.
so, sure, so if down the road, the zoning code changes, we can then amend this plan to, you know, to adjust to that, to those zoning amendments.
Yeah, I'm concerned without making some tweaks, you're not gonna be able to create that many units. And, you know, maybe we'll get a few each year, but we need to really ramp up here. I mean, we're losing, you know, the soul of our community.
Yeah, we definitely are at a critical stage. And so, you know, it is critical. I mean, you know, it's going to be, you know, the sustainability of this township is going to, you know, rely on whether or not we can provide housing for the people that are essential here, who provide all the services here. So,
And
it
it's
is.
not just, we're not just talking east of the canal where it's most dire, it's west of the canal too.
Yes.
Where, you know, we're victims of our own success in a way. Property values have gone through the roof in many areas. But, you know, the very people we need for those areas to sustain themselves are not able to live in those areas.
That's right. And, you know, we're not unique. If you go and look at different parts of the country where you have a resort community, I mean, they all have these same and similar problems. So a lot of these programs, I didn't invent these programs. I've done a lot of research in these different communities, and I've kind of taken the programs that are working in those areas, and I've adapted them to what we need here. So,
I think, I mean, a lot of those other communities like Aspen, you know, if you go out radially, you know, there is places where people can live. It's just a further commute, but it's in lots of different directions. You know, our problem is we have, you know, this major employment center, which is like the Hamptons, and the workforce, you know, gets pushed further and further to the west as that, you know, property values continue to grow. Then you have further up on Long Island where Manhattan is the big employment center, and the outskirts, you know, and they're starting to now merge where like the Manorville area is like commuting distance for both places, but, you know, we don't have anywhere else to go. You know, we're running out of a little bit further, and we can't go radially, we're an island,
right.
a peninsula, basically, so, you know, and the traffic and our infrastructure making it, even though it might not be that long of a distance, it takes a long time because of the limited, you know, infrastructure, limited trains, limited, your road capacity. So, anyway, it's a problem that you'll have to work on,
Right.
you know.
I think it's important to say that the reason why folks come out here is because of our incredibly strong economy. I mean, a lot of people are out here working, you know, and sustaining their lives, and you know, getting a lot of billable hours, or, you know, and doing good work too.
You seeing any, you know, is it money dribbling in?
So they've been able to calculate through August, and because the money is coming in one big lump sum for CHF and
That's
CPF.
The county gave it to us.
That's
to
right.
do, so.
The county's giving it to us in one big check.
The
And so
comptroller's
there
office.
has to be, the comptroller's office has to go through each individual real estate sale that has occurred within the township. So they've been able to do that at this point through August.
Just
And-
explain, the reason for that is because when the CHF program started, anything that was in contract prior to April 1st was exempt, was under the old program, which didn't have the CHF component, had different also max thresholds. So a lot of the things that are closing, that have closed in July, August, September, October, actually were in contract prior to April 1st, was it?
Yes, April
Yeah.
1st, yeah.
So that is, so now we have to kind of go through each one to see which program it was under. Soon, we're gonna be at a point where everything's under the current program, and 20% of the check is CHF. We don't have to do this anymore.
Right.
But for the next year, we're gonna have to go through every single closing document packet to determine the date.
It's
and-
created a lot of work for the controller's office, honestly. But to kind of answer your question, Cindy, the money is actually starting to not trickling in, but the money is actually starting to come through now. So I think we just got $1 million that came in,
Excuse me, 1.7.
1.7 million total, but I think we got 1 million for just August or something. So,
That's true.
and I think that's sort of what we're gonna start seeing if the real estate market holds, is about $1 million a month into this program. So, it's not too shabby.
It's a range, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good program, you're right. So what's the process here? We're going, if the board decides to adopt this program, then it will be in place. Do we have to codify it? Is this?
I'm sorry. Tickle my throat. Allergy season. So, we can schedule a public hearing,
Mhm.
and if the board decides to adopt this, these programs will be ready to be implemented. We will have, thank you, we will have an online, Julie's my savior in a lot of different areas. And we will have an online application for people to apply.
Okay.
Yeah, you had mentioned in the programs, I heard about like 100% AMI mentioned a couple times. But we have programs going up to 130?
We do. The rental program is 130, and the first time down payment assistance program is up to 130.
Okay.
So we do have several of the programs. Thank you very much.
You know,
I
'cause
apologize.
while you drink some water, like, you know, in the past, like, even at 130, but in the past, a lot of our programs, you know, they were like 60%, 80%. And there were people who were making area median income, the average salary, they were completely priced out of the housing market too. And people who were making even twice AMI were priced out of the
That's right.
housing market. So, I mean, 130 is better, because, you know, it's frustrating, you know, for somebody, you know, who makes 150,000 family income, and now that actually qualifies, right? But in the past, they still were priced out of the housing market, and there was nothing to help them.
Of course, when you have the average cost of a home out here, well over $1 million, the average person is going to be priced out of
Yeah,
that.
typically, you can, what, 2.5 to 3 times your value, your gross wages
Yep.
is
So-
the max you really can afford, particularly when your interest rates are like 7 and 8%. So if you have a $200,000 family income, a great income, you're probably above anything that can qualify here. $200,000 income, you could probably buy a $600,000 house. It's pushing it. You're pushing it, doing it depending on, you know, what, if you have some money saved up. But you're becoming cost burden.
That's right.
But good
HUD
luck finding a $600,000
Yeah.
home.
HUD determines that if you spend more than 30% of your income on housing, your house cost burden. And the majority of people in this area are house cost burden,
Oh, sure.
so,
For years.
yeah.
Well, they usually give a little bit higher number for ownership because of the equity. You're paying principal as well and not just paying rent. So, but, you know, if you're buying, they used to say 2.5 times your gross wages was your, sort of your max. I would say 3, so, but it also depends on what the interest rate environment is.
Right, for sure.
And, you know, typically, home ownership has been the path to, you know, equity home, like the American dream. Buy a house, and people who have owned properties have been able to prosper. The value has gone up, they've been able to improve their quality of life, and you're gonna get, so many people are priced out of home ownership. So, you know, we want to create the home ownership opportunities, but we also want to create rental opportunities, because not everybody's ready to buy a house.
Right.
And that's probably as big a crisis right now, maybe bigger.
Well, our young people are leaving.
Yeah.
Because they can't find a place to live. I mean,
They can't rent.
Can't rent. My office gets calls every week from people who say they've lived here their whole lives, and, you know, now their landlord is selling their home because they can get a good price for it, and they need a new place to live, and they're gonna have to leave because they
Yeah.
can't find a place to live, so that's affordable. So,
And they
yeah,
could pay in many cases like 2,000 a month,
right,
and they can't find anything for 2,000 or even 3,000, so. Yeah, it's a real problem. We don't have a rent assistance, right? That's not
no,
something,
and it's not allowed under the fund.
it's not allowed, right? All right.
Thank
Okay.
you for bringing this to us. I
Thank you
like
very
it.
much,
Thanks for the
everyone.
hard work.
Thank you,
Yeah, no, it's good. Thank the
Thank you.
committee for us too.
thank you. Yep, I will.
All right, so let's do some updates. I mentioned earlier that, the sad news about Brian Williams. We'll do a moment of silence at the next, the formal town board meeting in his memory. It's a big loss for the community. Other updates on it, everybody was pretty involved over the last week with the elections, so, trying to think if there was any other, updates. I don't know, Tommy John, do you have anything you want to report?
I do. Just in Noyak, Long Beach, the Noyak Civic Council, in conjunction with the Cornell Cooperative, we are going to have a beach planting event. We've been doing this periodically for the past couple of years. This is on the beach side of the old road on Long Beach. That's what we call it, the old road. That used to be the road.
You're either
Now it's the
removing
old
plants or you're
road.
planting plants.
What's that?
I said you're always either removing plants or
Well,
planting plants.
right, removing invasive, so the beach, and it holds the sand on the beach side, so, and it's nicer and more natural. So, December 9th, please come out, and Cornell Cooperative is gonna have plenty of work for folks to do. They are also gonna be, we're gonna be putting together or creating, things needed for eel grass plantings.
I thought of one thing.
December 9th, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. 12 noon.
I should mention the county executive was out here last Friday. Some of you were there as well,
Mhm.
both in West Hampton and in Flanders. In West Hampton, he was announcing grants for cultural arts institutions, including Bay Street was a recipient, Ma's House on the reservation, the Southampton Arts Center, Southampton Cultural Center, and I'm missing another one, but there were quite a number. The Southampton Historical Society. But earlier, we were out in Flanders, Riverside area at the Head Start building in Riverside. And the county executive announced a grant for the Children's Museum of, it was over 100,000, I think I want to say 114,000. Something in that range, it might have been a little bit less. And then, maybe 104,000, something like that. But also a commitment toward the Riverside Sewer District of $5 million, which is very, very significant, very, very significant. So we are getting there, getting
Mhm.
closer and closer, it seems, every day. There may have been some additional monies as well that may have gotten slated federally, we're trying to find out. So, but that's, that's getting closer and closer to being a reality now.
And that's a large part due to the work of this board and what we have done in the Riverside area and the monies that we have put forward toward that.
And Janice Shearer, who's.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
Has applied for a lot of the money, and of course Senator Schumer, $5 million, the CPF funds, $6 million, I think, but another $1 million committed.
Mhm.
Um,
They want to see local match, they want to see local commitment.
And we're optimistic that there's gonna be some EFC money as well from the state, so we're putting the pieces together, so it's a good thing. Rick, did you have anything you wanted?
Yeah, a couple of quick things. The Youth Bureau is having their annual Glow Night, Friday, December 1st, 7:30, 6 to 12 grades. The American Legion in Hampton Bays is having their Veterans Day events Saturday at 11 a.m. It's open to the public. They have a little food and beverage after the event. And a shout out to Timmy Wilson, one of our police officers, for the Scaryland Boulevard event on Halloween. Something close to 3,000 kids, up and down Maryland Boulevard. Safe location.
Nice.
It was a very nice night for everybody.
Cindy?
So yesterday morning, I attended a Veterans Day event at the Hampton Bays Elementary School, hosted by the 4th grade, where they honored Billy Hughes with Billy Hughes Day and flew his flag on the Veterans flagpole. Saturday, as people may know, is Veterans Day, and I would urge everyone to find a local veterans event. There are many throughout the town, and just show your support, pay respects, and I know there's one right here in Southampton Village. They have the normal parade and service in the park, but then also that evening, I believe starting at 3 p.m., I'm not positive on the time, but at Agawam, they are having veterans from Southampton, England, come and lay a wreath for our veterans, and they're giving a proclamation from the Lord Mayor of Southampton, England. So it'll be a nice event. It's like they're laying the wreath at sunset, so which I think now
Lord
is like
Mayor.
4 o'clock. The
Bill
Lord
Mango
Mayor,
just says mayor.
the Lord Mayor.
He's mayor and Lord Mayor. Okay.
Oh, and
Was
the,
that Bill Hughes' first flag they've raised?
I asked that question because it was the 84th one or 78th one. It's like they've done a lot, and I said something to Lars about it, and I said, "How did you make it to like 74, 70 or
Before getting to
84
Bill Hughes.
before getting to Bill Hughes?" And he was like, "I know." So I was kind of shocked myself. I said, "Is this the
Yeah,
second or the third time he's being honored?" He said, "No, it's the first." And I said, "Wow."
Because he's been to so many of those.
He does so
Flag raising.
much, so it's
Yeah, no.
kind of amazing. And then also the banners will be coming down from Good Ground Park, and then the families can pick them up at the community housing office in Hampton Bays.
Yeah, that was a very nice thing, the hometown.
Planned, and then they can start signing up for next year.
All right, anything else? All right, so we do have executive session, so, sort of back on schedule here. Acquisitions, confidential legal advice, maybe some personnel, and contracts as well. Two in particular, so, all right, so I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session on those items.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Scivone, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned for all other purposes.
You have a problem?